Every third Wednesday of the month, just so you guys can just block it off in your calendar, every third Wednesday. Have it same time at 5:30 here at this location. Real estate investors of Northern Nevada. We get together, we have speakers, usually we have some really great speakers like today, talking about some really attractive topics. So we have a lot of people register. I think there's going to be some people trickling in. So a couple things. I'm Ginger Marcus. I am a real estate agent. I believe that I'm an investor first, before I'm a realtor. If anyone wants to talk about real estate investing, I know the lingo. I invested. I've done creative things as far as an investor goes. Owner financed. I lease optioned. Done a lot of different things. I've bought, rehabbed, and sold. I've worked on manufactured homes, stick-built homes. I now have one multifamily. I have known these two for quite some time. Robert actually, I don't know if anyone knows the story. Robert called me. He was referred to me by a mutual friend that said, "Hey, Ginger runs this investor group. I think you benefit from it. I think you can whatever." He was an investor. I'm an investor, and he was starting this property management company here locally. And so he called me. He says, "Ginger, I'm a property manager in the area. I heard you run this investor group. I was referred by so-and-so. When's the next one?" I said, "It's tonight or tomorrow night." I can't remember how soon it was. A couple days. Okay. I was like, "It's this week." And I said, "Oh, great. We've never heard from a property manager in our group. Would you like to speak?" And he's like, "Okay." And he did such a great job. So we asked him to come back multiple times. And now he's brought his better half to speak with him. But they're talking about some really cool topics. It's not just property management. You guys are going to the next level. You're going to tell us a little bit about the legislative process. You've been
I don't know if I can tell you about the process. I don't know.
Sorry, not the process. I can tell you the process stinks. Just saying, sneaky process that they have. That's all. That's my opinion. They currently have 500 doors that they're managing. They have a nice staff that's helping them with that. They're growing, correct? You guys are always looking for talent. And they're wonderful human beings. I refer all my people that want to hire a property management company, which you all should have property managers. If you have more than one property or even just one property, it's a good idea. Keep yourself and your assets out of trouble. So I would like to give the room to you guys. You guys can take over and share some really great information with us today. Sure. Come on up. Yeah, I'm gonna put it on your.
She's gonna get it up there for you.
Huh?
She'd get it up there for you.
So I should get you.
Just swipe over, you'll see the
So
PowerPoint up.
just to say, yeah.
So we can look now or later.
We can open up.
But I'm not even about the legislation. I don't do any of that legal stuff.
But, just as she's talking about get a property manager, one of the things to look at is what's the value of your own time too. What you would pay for a property manager to manage your property to the time you spend that property, you got to weigh that out. Is it worth your time to manage yourself or have somebody else do it and you spend your time doing it? So,
Or is it worth your time not to have to go to court? Because you didn't do it right and didn't know the rules.
yeah,
That's what it's really about.
not because we're a property management company, hire us.
Yeah.
Good.
There's-
So, but so just a little bit about it. In Ginger's defense, she asked several times for a bio today, and I just couldn't get the time to send it over to you. But
That's okay. You're busy. That's good.
Just a little bit about us. We're PMI Reno. I'm the broker, and we're the owner of PMI Reno. We started this 8 years ago. We actually moved from the Salt Lake area here to start this business. So we quit both of our well-paid jobs, corporate jobs to do this crazy thing. Paid off for us. So we're happy. 3 of our kids working for us, actually. Till she goes back to teaching high school. In a couple of weeks, so. We have, we have a staff of 12. And then we have a maintenance company of 2 specs. So we specialize, well, I'm a broker, so we can do real estate. We're just plug in. We are looking for sales agents. So if you haven't found a place to hang your license yet, come talk to me.
Or if you know of anyone.
Or if you know anybody else that's looking for a change, we're looking for sales agents. We're having the sales cycles. So, well, we specialize in property management, mainly residential, single family home on up to about 50 doors in multifamily. We also do commercial, and we are starting short-term rentals. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that later on, but that's us in a nutshell. I'm not used to, there we go. So next, so let's start off, just talk a little bit about the market. Each of you guys have, we have picked up one of those sheets in the back for what market is. I was going to kind of go through this market report a little bit, just kind of help you understand it. You only get a couple sheets of it. But we run one of these for every property we have, just to get an idea of what the market's saying that property is going to be. I'd like a property address there, but each one of our reports, it'll give you an estimated range. It'll kind of do benchmarks with the radius, the median, section 8, and then the zip code. It'll show you trends with vacancy rates to days on market. The house is detailed. A little more, saturation a little bit how what the market said, what's rentals to for owner occupied there. So that's not on your sheet. Right? That's kind of things that we put out on our reports. And also, because I think this is that on your sheets? Remember?
Oh,
Yeah, it is. Sorry. This just kind of shows you trends of different properties, both multi-family, single family, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedrooms. If you're trying to rent properties the first part of the year, you can tell that it wasn't moving. There was a reason. Things weren't moving at the beginning of the year. Single family homes were a lot better, but there was definitely a push, a little bit downward push on rents. But multifamily, the smaller 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, it's still not moving as fast as we've seen it in the past. So
Sorry, are you accepting questions in the middle?
maybe.
Well, I was just wondering, because I was thinking about this earlier this week. Does that have anything to do with all the high rises going up, the apartment complexes that are being added to the community? Do you think, in your
I think
opinion?
it plays a part in it, but I don't think it plays a big part.
Okay.
Because most of the new high rises, the new apartments, they're pricing those, which is driving some of your rent prices for this 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, some of the 3 bedrooms. It's pushing that average rent higher because a normal 2 bedroom in the market, in a duplex or small multifamily, may sit around between 12 to 15. They're pricing those things 17 to 22, but they're offering a lot more amenities, so it skews it. And they those are targeting slightly different collective renters, ones that actually maybe afford.
So this report is just on your properties if you're managing, correct?
No, that report is for our area.
Metro area.
So
How many
those 2
apartments
pages.
actually surveyed?
What's that?
How many apartments actually surveyed? Out of the X amount that are in the
To be
market?
honest with you, I don't know where they pulled the data from, but I found the data to be fairly good. Heading into the fall, prices tend to be a little higher. Coming out in the spring, typically they're a little lower than what you get. And that's just because that's where the pulled the data, it's historically. But I don't know where they come.
Too many doors there are in this metro market?
What's that?
How many total doors are there? Do you?
I don't know.
It's not much.
No, that's question. I don't know, I'll tell you. So. Anyway, so it gives kind of trends, then it gives you medium and section 8 for different size places. This page just kind of breaks it down by some of the zip codes, your average returns, median rents. And then you kind of see, you know, the zip code in the city, the rents have climbed. I still see it sluggish, some of the revenues I have, but they're moving a little bit better than they were, say, 4 months ago. I would say this month.
This month's better.
Yeah.
We struggled in April and like February, March was pretty good, but this month's been different.
But if you ever have a property and you want to just to report, just let us know. We'll run it for you.
Whether you want us to manage or not, there's a reason.
Yeah, these good pieces of information. Oh, that's why. Reno must have got my word. My daughter put this together. So
Oh, nice.
she got it out of order.
Oh.
Second page that you don't have, just kind of breaks down how, what properties it picks up, looking at for the estimate on the rents. Points it out where it's at. Useful data, we don't live or die by this. But this is a great start. I tend to take a look at that. I go to Zillow. Just to kind of see, because there's a cut, the potential tenants perception is Zillow's
They think it's everything.
is
They're wrong.
know everything. So I look at that just as a, okay, how are they gonna perceive it? And look at and I will look at different units that on Zillow that are similarly size and everything. So, and then just based on what I couple level in that market. So any questions on any other questions that I know?
What's your average occupancy rate on the property?
Ours, we are about
You mean number of ones that we have occupied with the individual property? how
what's
often
our
it's-
vacancy rate? I think we're about 7%. Right now, we've got a lot of new properties that are vacant. So, but for the region, it's so average, so vacancy rates that they're figuring is about just under 5%.
Are you marketing your property?
Everywhere.
What's every market?
We put it up, listed onto our website and through our software. We use the software called Tinaturn for our scheduling. And they syndicate it out to Zillow Network, which is truly and Zillow, Apartments.com, and a bunch of other ones. 85% of our leads come from Zillow Network. So it goes out to about 30 sites.
They're pretty comprehensive, so I really feel like they're hitting all of the online markets.
Any other questions?
You said earlier you moved out here about 8 years ago from Utah. Sounds like then you started managing other people's properties first. Do you have properties of your own that you manage as well?
We did not.
We did not, we do.
We do now.
You do now.
We do now.
We got our first one 2.5
2-3 years ago.
2.5 years ago, we bought our first, and it was, oh, no, it was longer than that, yeah.
And we bought a condo, then we bought a triplex,
Like 4 years ago, we bought
and then we bought
it.
another triplex last year.
It's a big difference.
It's hard to get to that point, because the down payment and all that, when you're starting a new business and coming, from scratch.
We're,
That's what our whole retirement in it.
of course, I'm feeling a little bit of pain with the triplex because the bathrooms got a lot of. rehab the bathrooms. It's huge, it's huge, it's huge. So when you call up and you tell me about the ones, I understand. So. All right, well,
What do you charge?
we range between 8 to 12%, depending on which plan you want to go with. They're all structured different. And if you average it out, it'd be about 10%. So.
You're getting into short term?
Yep, that's coming.
We're in it. We have signed our first key
Okay.
this last week.
Does that include midterms?
We haven't dived into the midterm as much.
It could,
but
it could definitely potentially, but when we're doing the research.
We'll talk about all that. So, all right, so. What do you all think about the legislature this year of tenant landlord? Did it go good or did it go bad?
Well,
Well, every time they meet, it's bad, but that's one thing, yes. Overall, this legislative session for tenants and tenant landlord law is good for landlords. And a lot has to do with our governor, so if you ever have a chance, to send him a message, tell him thank you for standing up for landlords in this in business. Because they're very strong in business and landlords. And I think also just in law enforcement, obviously, because he's a former sheriff. So, but, so we'll just kind of quickly go over, what happened in the legislature. A lot got shot down. So. The first one, there was a lot of things that come up in the 2021 session that didn't make it, and they tried to push them again this year. And they got, and thank goodness for, just overall, a lot of things didn't make it through. So, so for realtors, and then if you're selling a home, the transfer tax didn't make it through. SB 78, which included, I can remember. Just, well, Carla, would you read them? 'Cause I'm not-
Yeah, do you want me to read the second paragraph?
Yes, the second paragraph.
Senator Fabian Dante's SB 78 was also introduced to prohibit landlords from transferring, selling, assigning, or reporting to certain agencies information concerning amounts owed by tenants to landlords unless the landlord obtains a judgment against the tenant for any such amount. Additionally, it would have required landlords to allow tenants a grace period for rent payments, which is terrible. The bill further would have required that landlord disclose all fees, fines, and costs in the rental agreement before the tenancy begins, and differently defines in which instances a secure deposit can be recovered. It passed through the Assembly and Senate, but it was ultimately vetoed by the governor.
So, I mean, this would have been a bad bill. Because that mean
Things in there
it would
that are-
limit your ability to screen and find out what the tenant was. And the governor did veto it. Why do I bring up things that been vetoed, not passed? Because they're going to come back in 2025. And so how you vote and your I'm just encouraging you to pay attention to who you elect to the legislature. Make sure that they have the attitudes that protect your interests.
Him as our governor,
And
yeah,
the governor. And our
that's
governor
awesome.
saved our baby. All right. I will let you. Stop.
Senator Damon Mill introduced SB 143, which would have protected those with a criminal conviction or arrest records from background checks when applying for a lease, only exempting those who have committed sexual assault and violent assault within the last 5 years. The bill passed through Senate, but died in committee on the Assembly.
There again, another one that would deny you the ability to be able to see who you're placing in your properties. So the next one, we don't need to read it. This is the one that had rent control. It was held back. I mean, it softened through the process to, I think it was to limiting it to just someone over 62. But rent control is bad policy. It's never worked in any municipality or state that they've done it. It's only driven the price up and hurt the tenants.
Why are you allowed to pop up rents to?
In Nevada, Yeah, whatever you want. There's no law limiting it. That's rent control. We don't want that. But as a landlord, if you got a good tenant, you know, you want to make sure that you don't want to bump them $200-300, because that's hard on anybody. But you want to make sure every year when you renew the lease, you're bumping it a little, so it's a small increment you keep up to work. That's the best way to approach that. There's so many landlords out there that we've taken over properties that are so behind on rent. As soon as you bump that big amount, they're gone. Now you got vacancy costs. Make sure that you bump in the rent every year. So.
Just a statement. I hope that's okay. But this has caused a lot of landlords to increase their rents this year. And cause a lot of tenants, and a lot of people, friends of mine or clients have been referred to me because their rents were just jacked up. And now they're like, well, I have to own because I can't afford to rent anymore. And I think that's,
It's a bad story
already,
because this the threat of that drives the landlords to drive it up. This makes tenants complain to the legislature, which pushes them to try
Right.
to push policy
Yeah.
like that. So. So 426 just forcing wants you to provide a copy of the lease and costs of the lease on the lease to the tenant. We already do that. Dumb law. If you're doing right business, that's how you should do it. Provide the information to them. Again, same thing as the previous one, provide information. One thing that actually I did disagree with is provide at least one free method to pay rent. I think that's fair. But it didn't pass. That was the only thing I agreed with that.
Do they get extra per diem for writing more lots?
What's that?
Do they get extra per diem for writing more
I think
lots?
so,
Yeah, I don't
or at
know.
least they think they do.
Well, they're already starting to write the stuff, so. And the last one did pass, which prohibits landlords from charging fees for repairs that are normal wear and tear maintenance that the landlord should pay for anyways. The only exception to that is if it's tenant neglect or tenant damage, which if you're doing your business right, you're already doing that. But that just put it in law that you just can't charge frivolous repair fees.
I thought that was already a loss.
No,
That's
I do have-
ethics.
I-
Ethics.
I've had some owners that. We've done this leasing before, that they want to always put in $100. You gotta fix anything under $100, you fix it. That's out the door.
The caveat to that is you could say they had you're offering a washer and dryer with the unit. You could write it in the lease that this unit, this washer and dryer is for convenience only. So that's not, that way they're doing the repairs on that, because that's not like a heater or something that is,
Not
what is that? What is that?
required services.
Yeah, so that's a little bit different, but like he says, you don't say, any repairs that come up, you have to pay the first this amount, and that's where, that's.
And the thing is, let's keep in mind, the thing that, when things come up in the legislature, it's a lot of times it's because of bad landlords out there doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And that just gets back there and the legislature starts creating crazy laws.
And they always want to add something in this. They like to bury things.
Well, the 11th hour. But overall, the legislative session was very good for landlords. Because it could have been worse. A lot that has to do with the governor vetoing a lot of things. All right. I guess this is why you're here. You want to hear about short-term rentals? So do I.
Well, you got to run a little thing. I don't give a fuck.
You're Vanna now.
So. Hello, we're PMI Reno.
That is cute.
We're local. Vacation rental specialists. Yes, we are new in the industry, but just to add to that, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. We're part of a franchise. And that franchise has a lot of vacation rentals or keys, what we call under management. They have a lot of systems and procedures and tools and relationships with companies to help us be successful. So when I first spoke here 8 years ago,
Like, yeah, I think nine or 10. It's been a while.
somebody asked me, how many doors do you have? I said, 5. And now we have 500. And it's because we work really hard to manage and do our business in the right way. Make sure that it's successful for our clients, for our tenants or guests in this case, and for our team. So.
One more thing on that too, is that, Ginger mentioned, that we started out here, moved, or I guess Robert mentioned, sorry, that we moved from a different state. We're actually from Southern Nevada, but we knew nobody in Northern Nevada. And as you're out there and you're networking, you know how important networking is, right? And knowing people and getting to know those people. So the fact that we could come to a new city, not knowing a soul, and build up to we built up to 400 doors in 3 years. Is because we came with all these systems. So I think systems are important. And whether or not people use us, I'll still say systems are important. You have to have the systems in place. We're in a technology age, and that technology helps you be able to do that. You have the reminders that, how are you going to know that you need to turn that property? How are you going to know that you need to do that? So systems are important. So when we came on with Property Management Inc., we came with all the systems. And so that's what's helped us make these successful. And that's why we can say that we know about short-term rentals. We just barely signed our first one and we're just getting started. We're learning how these things do. But the systems will help you.
And you can ask all the hard questions about short-term rentals. So I just got to talk about it. PMI, our franchises, been in business for 12 years. We have. I changed that. It's over 400 franchises
And
in the US, Costa Rica, and Puerto Rico. And we're working on something in Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. We met some Saudi Arabians. Very, very.
We have franchises in over 40 states. $8.5 billion under management. I fixed that.
You can change all those numbers?
What's that?
Anything you can change all those numbers?
Well, I changed this because that one was supposed to be down.
PowerPoint and you just update it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's when you have your daughter do the PowerPoint, when you change it and she doesn't send you back. But, and then number 1 ranked property management franchise. We have done very well in the 12 years that they've been in business. So we can help you close more deals. Let us show you how. So one of the things, key things of being successful, both in any business, if it's real estate, if it's flipping houses, if it's short term, residence property management, it's information. Any of you go out and just buy a property without running the numbers to see if they work for you? I didn't see any hands go up, so I assume nobody did. Or at least if you did, you only did it once, and you're not willing to admit it. So data and numbers is very important. Know what you're doing, know what your prospective numbers are, so you can know what you need to do to get there. So we like the rent range reports, we have software that can help bring information about the short-term rentals. And, so we ran some rental market analysis for Reno. Sparks, we can't get Reno and Sparks together, they don't show them together like the Washington County, but Reno's very similar. So Reno Sparks are rated as a B market for short-term rentals, so that's pretty good. You can kind of see the scattered chart of where all the vacation rentals that are popping up on this software. There's like 1,900 short-term rentals in the Reno market. That doesn't include Sparks. Our average daily rates 202, occupancy rate is 62% time. Average revenue is $2,700 per month.
What area now is mostly?
You're talking
Yeah.
Midtown, South.
Okay.
It's kind of a lot of it's in the 89502 area. So kind of you're picking up Midtown and South. The University's in there. But anything, anything in that area is good.
Can you comment on the seasonality variance? If there is any, what are people generally coming to the area for their short-term stays?
Yeah, and you can kind of see, right after, the winter season, in the first part of the year, it drops down. And it picks up during the summer. There's a lot of events in Reno. August nights.
Balloon races,
Balloon races,
air races,
balloon races are going today.
street vibration.
Steep vibrations, different things that
Roof
are
cook-off.
draw people. You get some people coming here for skiing, so you are close, but not as much there, so. So there you go. Actually, rentals, entire homes. Most of them are entire homes, private rooms. Not very many shared rooms. I don't see the desire on that one, but apparently there's some. So your rental channels are, Airbnb, VRBO. And listed on both. Those are your two main.
Those are the two main, and then the third one is actually bookings.com. That one gears more towards international clients. You're gonna get all your local, national are gonna do mainly Airbnb and VRBO. Those are your very most popular ones. But, you still, like we said, with the long term, you syndicate out to everybody, you may as well, right? But those are your two most common, those are, and it just goes to show, and I'm not surprised, it's interesting that Airbnb is higher. Because when people say, do you have an Airbnb? None of it do. It's just so, because it's been there longest. But I do know that there's different trends, because when I go stay in a short-term rental, because I don't do hotels anymore, I always go do a short-term rental, because I find, especially with my family, it's saving me a lot of money, and I want a kitchen and a couch. But there are different markets that have higher things. Like I know that when I go to Arizona, I'm gonna do VRBO because Airbnb ain't got nothing there. But I've looked everywhere where else I go. When I went to Connecticut, we did an Airbnb, so I kind of do both, and we see. But here we see that Airbnb is significantly higher in Reno. And it just is what people choose and what they tell their friends about. It's not that one's better than the other. It's just what is in your market and has more. And the thing is, with having the software that we talked about, is you see only 19% of it and have it on both. Why not? Why wouldn't you want it on both, right? We are. This is new. This is new to us.
Okay.
And we have been trained in all the systems, but now we're doing short term.
And we do list them on both.
Yes, on both
And-
bookings.com, and then bookings.com actually is the one that syndicates out to all the other little ones. And that's where you get a lot more international.
You also handle like the cleaning of the short-term rentals?
Yeah, because
They
that's
don't
why
clean.
We don't.
Well, me personally, we want to read.
Initially, when we're starting out, we go on e-checking on those as well, but that's the thing, and I don't know if this is gonna come up there, but I just say it when I think of it. The benefit, so what is the biggest benefit to having a short-term rental as an investor and an asset owner? What would be your thing?
Income. Income and the property stays nice.
See, and most people don't think that, they're afraid of that, but Ginger's 100% correct, because they're like, oh, they're just gonna rent it, and they're just gonna have this big party, and they're gonna trash my house. Well, your house is being inspected every week, because someone goes in and cleans it every week when they turn it over, or whatever, and we're looking for things, and honestly, they don't have as much time as the house that we're turning right now, that the tenants have been there for a year, and I just billed them $10,000 to turn that property over because they trash.
Yeah, and I have
So-
insurance every time
Yeah.
someone takes my
Exactly.
return.
And
So if
The
they destroy
insurance
something,
coverage
it's
is better.
covered.
And it's better because the insurance that we have on our long term is liability. You know, we require liability, some of them have it on their stuff, but on the short term, you can say, they broke the coffee maker. I'm charging their insurance for that. So it's a little bit, it's a little bit more, and it's an investment, it's a risk, it's gonna be a risk. But there is a little bit more of that security, and you know, and then there's money if you can keep it, if you can keep it up.
And this one, this is much like this, the saturation with the 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedrooms. Just keep in mind, 1 bedrooms, you're competing with the hotels. And with your 3 bedroom, 4 bedrooms,
Well,
You're
plus,
not
look
keeping-
at you competing with also all your other Airbnb, people think, oh, it's a small place, let's Airbnb. See, here I'm saying, let's make that a vacation rental.
this one just kind of shows you the trend of the rates. They've gone up over the years. So it is a growing market. Just like everything else, the rents are going up, but
Yeah, a couple slides ago, you had the revenue. Yeah, the 2760 there, that's a monthly revenue.
yes. It's the average revenue per month.
Okay,
So looking at it,
all right. Thanks.
And I imagine that fluctuates quite a bit.
it depends on the size. This is an average across studios on up to.
Well, and I just mean by time of the year
And
too,
also time of year.
because you're gonna miss them.
The average, this kind of breaks down, different types, budget economy, mid-scale, upscale, luxury homes. One property we have that we've signed is, we consider a luxury home. These wants to get $400 to $500 a night. 550. So. Yes.
Yeah, Robert, so obviously this one's are more management intensive, so what is your fee structure on this?
We'll get to that.
Okay,
You want to answer
18,
that?
20, and 22, so
Yeah.
as opposed to 8, 10, and 12, we go 18, 20, and 22. So yes, it's more,
It's more
because
because it is more,
yeah, it is a lot more work.
but the revenues
Yeah,
can be more. But there's also, keep in mind, there's a lot more investment going in. Because you have
there
to
is.
furnish it, stock it, make sure the place is nice. We've been to a couple of vacation rentals where we went,
Yeah.
it's grandma's old furniture and it is hard too.
Yeah.
Nice location. But you don't want that. You want to be trendy. One of the things that each one of our properties that we bring on and manage, each one will have their own Facebook page. I think we like that. And it just kind of create that trend, create that special with each one, so we can have a repeat business. This one is the occupancy rate. It's kind of fluctuates there. You can kind of see in January, it kind of dips a little bit each year. Average occupancy rate is 66. Booking lead times about average 48 days, so people book out 48 days in advance. Length of stay is 3 days. So if you factor saying $200 a night, and you're staying 3 days, 66 50% of the time that month, it's definitely a little bit more income. But there's more work to do. And then, let's see. Oh, revenues. So this kind of breaks down the revenues a little bit more. Well, the rent of the entire place, they're averaging 3,100. House 44, apartments 24 of them. A little more marketing detail there. We'll kind of go through. So the keys to successes. I'm gonna let Carla talk about that.
Okay, so short-term rentals is kind of a hot item tonight, so we're gonna talk about a few things. Robert mentioned, and I just wanted to stress, a lot of people think that it's a great thing to get a short-term rental because I'm gonna make all this money because instead of getting $1,200, a month, I'm gonna get $300 a night and I'm gonna have it rented out 30 nights of the year of the month. And so there is a little bit, that's all great, and you just need to be a little bit realistic. I just want to mention the setup. So one of the most aha moments for me, I guess, in learning more about short-term was what you want to provide for your guests. So these are no longer tenants, they're guests. We want to treat them as honored guests. And the thing that we talked about that really has made me want to do this is talk about hitting the 5 senses. So when they walk in that property, what does it say to them? What can they see? What can they hear? What can they feel? Do you have nice music turned on? Do you have the lights turned on ready for them? Do you, is it clean? Is it neat? Do you have, you don't have to have the fanciest furniture, but someplace that they at least could sit down, right, and be comfortable. So staging is really important. It's the first impression, just like when you meet somebody, that first impression is everything. And pictures are extremely important. You want to get, because they're especially online, they don't know what it's going to look like. So staging is important, but staging is also possible.
I gotta add this. When she selects a place for us to stay, she's looking at the pictures.
I'm looking at the couches.
Couches. Perfect family sit for us.
Right, you get these modern.
So pictures are very.
You get these modern couches, which look really cool and really fancy. And I'm like, am I going to sit down and watch a 2-hour movie on that thing? Because I can't put my feet up. So that's just a personal opinion. But yeah, you're looking at what it is. So staging is important. The setup is important. There is a little cost. You have to allow for that. Now you're going to make more in a month, especially when you look a year down the road. You're going to be making more, and you're going to be making good money. I've seen how the numbers can look, and yeah, it's good. But you have to have that setup. You have to have. We have determined that we're going to require a certain standard of sheets because they're there to sleep. They're not going to want to live in the ratty old sheets that are grandma's flowered sheets. It's just not going to happen. And that they're there for a comfortable night's rest. You're not going to have a lumpy mattress. You're not going to have that. So you have to buy some furniture up front. You just have to.
The other thing is the cost is you're paying for it.
Yes, you have to have internet.
So those are costly. You're making more money, revenue coming in. There's more going out.
There is.
So,
That's why you have to look at the whole picture.
Do you have an example of the kind of report that you give to the owners?
That was it.
No, I agree. Post,
I don't.
post revenue, here are the costs, here's the revenue, right?
I don't. It's just, I think it's just gonna look like a regular income statement. Income and expense. Just the same that you would give for long term, because it's gonna be monthly. It's gonna be very similar. Here's your income, here's your expense.
And
So-
in this same software we were looking at the market data, we can drill it down to individual properties. And give you the estimates based on the market, which should be making market. So we can help provide you with a lot of information.
Okay, so really quick, I'm just gonna go over a couple of these. They're just words that came to my mind as we were looking through this. Interior design, you want to make it look nice. It doesn't have to be a modern style. It doesn't have to be a certain style. Themes are super fun, but it doesn't have to be. It just needs to be clean and neat and nice. And then supplies is important. Talk about that in a minute. Quality, I talked about that, especially in your sheets. and your towels and things like that. You just want to get, quality. And then the first impression, that's important. Supplies are important. So you want them to go there and, I have my things. Every time I go stay, we write notes. I go to a property, it doesn't have a whisk, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make some brownies. Why would you not have a whisk? So just a few little things. I went to a property and they had this, so, you know, they had this nice little package. You get there and here's your individually wrapped sponge, you know, that was awesome. And they had a garbage bag and they had what? Well, that's a good one. This wasn't a good example. I'll talk about the good example. So, and then they had a pot for, you know, the dishwasher or whatever. But let me say what I said. They had a garbage bag, a dishwasher pod, and a little package for laundry soap. Okay, I'm staying there 5 days with 6 people. I had to go out and buy a whole thing of dishwasher soap and then I had to leave it there because I'm flying on a plane. I can't pack all that stuff home. So now I had to take it with me because I'm like, what if I get there and they don't have it? So, you know, it was nice. Huh?
The luggage is heavy.
It was a nice presentation and all that, but it was like, seriously? It's a 5-bedroom house and you're gonna give me one dishwasher pod? So you want to supply that, and it's like the hotel, like you supply shampoo and all that kind of stuff. However, the guest pays for it anyway, so that's not an owner's expense for those particular things you just provide. So things like that, you think of the things, you go stay there and see what you think of it. How do you feel when you go stay somewhere? What do you miss? What do you think? Think like a guest and make that experience what you would want to have. That's how you do everything, you know, do it to others, right?
So when you mentioned brownies, is that just in marijuana legal state?
Absolutely not. We stayed in this place in Arizona and they had little welcome things. So you walk in and in the middle of the counter of the island, they had this thing and it was decorated with all the ribbons and everything. And they had a box of gourmet cookies from one of the local bakeries. It was my favorite thing. You just walked in, you're like, oh, that's sweet. You know, it's just something that makes them remember. Because like Robert said, whether it's the name, of course, we call the house with the lumpy couches that we took the cushions off one couch, put it on the other couch with the cushions and still for it to sit down. Yeah, it was just terrible, but the area was beautiful. But when we talk about a bad house, it's the Connecticut house.
And this.
So you don't want that name associated.
And all this comes down to reviews.
Yes.
We want people to come back and say, again, we also talk about it. Yeah. And they have a good experience, talk it up. And other people see it. That one will be one that doesn't happen. Connecticut house. So.
Reviews are very important, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for repeat customers, because when people are coming to ski in Reno, they're going to come back next year, and they're going to come to your place, and they're going to be so happy with it, and they're going to tell their friends, "Hey, I'm going this week. This is a good place to stay, and you're going next week. Why don't you stay there?" And then so
because we go back and stay at the same house, stay with me next year for spring training.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In Arizona, where we went to, we're already planning to go back the next year to the same place. And if we would go to Connecticut, we would try to stay at the neighbor's house because we love the area. But I'm not staying at Grandma's house anymore. It's definitely Grandma's house. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Questions. Let's go to questions. I think we good.
Well,
okay.
You covered some of that. I think we already talked.
We talked about protecting your asset. That's the thing.
Same thing, both things. You hire a manager to maximize your income, protect your asset. That's our job.
So I just really quickly, what are the reasons that people get into short-term rentals? Why would you choose short-term over long-term and over? We talked about 2 reasons. We talked about money and we talked about Ginger said, you pick it. What else?
Well, I was gonna say it's basically money, the difference between long-term and short-term, like you explained.
To offer a service for people who are in the area.
Look, and that's a great point. Because the reason why we don't stay in hotels anymore, because we can get a vacation rental and fit a family cheaper than to get 3 hotels, stuff us in there. And
That is why you want to do it.
that's
The
why
larger- the larger
the
houses.
3 or 4 bedroom
Smaller's not so much.
is a good thing.
Because
Much more desirable.
When it's just Robert and I, we would save money going in a hotel. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't anymore. I don't want to because I want the amenities that they have. But we would save money going into a hotel because not only do you have your fee, but you have to pay for the insurance and you have to pay for the cleaning fee or whatever. But when we take our families, so we go every year with our franchise, every year we go to their annual summit. And we decide, well, we went to Orlando. We're like, okay, well, our family's never been to Disney World. So we said, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it a week long instead of 3 days. And these 3 days, we're gonna go and we're gonna go to Disney World. And then these 2 days, you guys can go do whatever you want while we're at our meeting. So it was like, why not, right? And then they had it at this, it was a nicer end hotel, but they had it at a hotel resort. We had a 5-bedroom house for the same price that theirs was per night. We were literally paying the same price for a 5-bedroom house. You're saving money because if I would take it on my family, we would have got 4 rooms. And so it's just, it's a really good thing to get in the bigger ones. And I'm not saying you can't do the smaller ones. I'm just saying that it's not a bad thing. But the thing that I was gonna say is that I would say if you took a poll, and this is honestly a lot of opinions, so take it for what it is. I really think it's an opinion. I would say that more people have short-term rentals, not for the money, but because they want to come and live in it 2 weeks a year and they want to rent it out the rest. They want to have a place to stay. And so it's that underlying reason that you don't realize. You think it's for the money and they think, well, yeah, they want to make money, but really, I want a place to stay when I go skiing or when I go to hot August nights and I don't want to sell my house. I want to make money on it so that I can stay there.
Like saying, somebody buys a second home on vacation, and you only stay there.
Snowbirds.
Some of the time. not even somebody,
Well, and also when it's vacant, it's being washed over, it's not being left over for people to swat and vent. So, it's a second home kind of thing. And yeah, people do it for money, but I think that more often you get people that do that.
Well, so if this is more for just real estate agents, if you refer a owner that wants to do vacation rental and we sign them. Questions? No, I'm gonna sit down and ask all hard questions because she's in charge of it.
This is a pretty hard one. I haven't heard anything mentioned about like repair services. Do you guys help with that at all?
It's the same that we do with the long term. It's like if something goes out, you call the maintenance guy, same thing. It's exactly the same. The goal of being a property management company, whether we're doing short term or long term, is for the owner not to have to do it. So yes, it would be the same thing. The tenant would put in a work order, they would call us, we would send someone out. Of course, it's the owner's guest. Of course, it's the owner's house. If it's not guest caused, the owner would pay for it like any, water heater
Normal wear and
that
tear.
exposed, normal wear and tear and things like that. And then, that it's recommended that you have more of that longer inspection, like every 6 months, just like you would at a house, because when you're doing a turnover, you're just, looking for simple things. But yeah, maintenance, cleaning, it's all the same thing. You don't want an owner to have to, unless you're the owner and you're doing it, but as a management company, you don't want the owner to have to do that. That's why they hire you.
Nice.
You guys have a lot of, or you guys manage a lot of Section 8 properties in Reno.
Not a lot.
No, we have a few.
All right.
But let me add to that. Section 8 used to have a pretty bad, they still do have a bad state. But the housing authorities have done a lot of things to get much more appealing to landlords to open up for that program. Some areas they have extra money to help compensate for property damage. And everything, we get that into. Don't shut the door on Section 8. We look into it. when we screen a tenant for non-section 8 homes, I hate to say it, but it's still kind of a crap show. Yeah, we're dependent on public records and things that we can pull and find out. And even the best of tenants at one point could have a life-changing thing that changes everything and they turn it into bad. So section 8, nice thing about section 8 is it's guaranteed income. You always know the check's still come. So.
That's the biggest plus. In fact, we have a service assistance for one of our renters for our personal properties. And I like knowing that that check's gonna come. So that's your plus. Your negative with specifically section 8 is if you're trying to have a house that is not in the best shape and doesn't pass that inspection. Their inspections are very.
To get it qualified.
Yeah, the qualification, but
But if you're offering a quality home.
Have quality
it's not-
product.
It's not, I just,
Yeah.
About your homeowner, and if your home is in shape.
And that's
I
it
had a
because
very
you're
high
trying
level
to,
tenant in there to begin with, so they came in an inspection. I didn't have to do anything.
if you're trying to rent something that's not fit to live in, then,
Right.
you know, then you have that problem.
And the rents that they are willing to pay,
And I got a higher. rent than what I
they're
would do.
good,
Yep.
good rents. So. You had a question back there.
Yeah, just moving back to short-term rentals for a second. Just wondering if you can comment on the legislative.
Southern Nevada is not happy with short term.
So
Northern Nevada is cool.
So a lot of your rules and regulations for short term are not state level, not very, I don't think there's really anything state level. It's usually the municipalities, and it's usually, what we see in Nevada, it's the cities. So Las Vegas, Las Vegas and Henderson, it's pretty strict rules. No, actually, it's the other way around. Clark County has pretty strict rules, but the cities are more lax. Up here, Washoe County's got a little more strict rules because they got into the village. And those people made a lot more state. Whereas Reno and Sparks, there's not really any written regulations.
So anytime you go outside of Reno, Sparks, and you're in Washoe County or any of the surrounding, you have to have a license. You have to be licensed to have short term. Reno, Sparks, their rules are pretty much whatever. So like incline, if you're out in the valley, you have to have.
But you're gonna be better off being in the city.
Yeah.
That's what
Except for if you want to be up close to the city.
you had a question.
Do you currently do any student housing management, or if not, what are your insights for that specific?
I don't do student housing. It's challenging. It's because one thing you're renting out rooms from the student housing, is usually they've got 3 or 4 bedrooms in the common area. So you're managing a common area in the unit, common area outside the unit. And then you're also managing the development inside the unit. So
And when you get
it's, you just got, again, it goes back to systems and rules. Any tenant or anybody establish expectations. These are the rules, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And that helps manage all those aspects.
You manage anything in person, short term, long term?
We have some properties in Carson City, yes, no short term. Yeah,
Although Carson, Carson follows the city rules, and we have done license. Carson.
Is there many short term in person?
I don't have those numbers, but I believe so.
I'm pretty sure there are.
Because you look at the location of where it is, Rose, Tahoe.
Yeah.
and Everything, so
I'm sure there are.
it's cheaper than incline. Guarantee your vacation rentals will be a little cheaper in Carson City. than they would be. Ginger, you had a question?
Actually not my question, but, I think you might have answered Jeff's question online. He said, have you been following any legislative proposed in Reno around short-term rental specifically, as we're seeing several other big municipalities regulating Dallas, Kansas City, et cetera. I'm trying to figure out the long-term regulation risk profile.
Well, you never know with the legislature, but right now they're pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Maria asks, you guys mentioned that you have a Facebook page for each property, is that right? And then do you share your reviews there as well? For the
So-
short term.
So our daughter Karina manages the short-term forests mostly,
Okay.
and so I would have to get back to you on that, but she will create a Facebook page so that people can, comment and do things like that.
Share their
And so, yeah,
experience and then
yeah,
rental and all
exactly,
that.
and we would put the reviews on there as well as on, you make your reviews on Airbnb, VRBO and everything, and then those reviews would be available on that.
Well,
Okay.
one of the things is kind of create some
A presence.
I guess it's a hashtag. I'm not the social media guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the idea is, the houses and things, you want to create them to be unique. So this place that we've signed is the
Music lovers lair.
Music Lovers Lair.
So
It's got
you
a
go
name.
stay there, you're gonna hashtag Music Lovers Lair, and then when you go back now, where was it I stayed? Oh, yeah, I remember that was a cute name, and then,
So
and it would, because it has a name, it definitely, this owner really loves music, and he has the best sound system I've ever heard in my life. And so, yeah, 82 inch TV. But it's something to remember, like those, you remember something if you have that name, that presence, that image.
it's yes. Job is helpful to create memories.
Right.
Tie that memory back to your home.
Because they're on vacation, this is them having fun, this is their relaxing time. They're gonna have happy memories, and you want them to remember.
Awesome. Let's see, Maria also asked, what do you guys charge for managing an RTR? RTR. She probably meant STR.
Yes, yeah, structural memory.
Do you manage a home that's fully, well, it has to be fully furnished if it's,
It does have to be fully furnished, and then, of course, that's the expense to the owner.
Right.
To get that. furnished.
and my question, I think I saw it on one of your guys' slides, you guys can consult on that, you guys help. Like,
And Karina will even draw you out the little diagram.
We want you to be
Okay.
successful.
yeah,
Well, yeah, and the thing too is some of those you can be very creative on how many people it sleeps. Or like this nice house that we have that doesn't want to be creative and have more people because he wants it to be more exclusive. He doesn't want 12 people there in a gated community and annoying all the neighbors. So we're not putting a height of bed so that you can say that this sleeps 25 or whatever. So you can choose. I've seen some very creative ways that you can do, but then you have that choice. You can lay it out. So that's where the consulting comes in. It's like, well, if you put a height of bed, then you can have more people and then they can do that. Or, this room would fit better if you did 2 twins or things like that. There's lots of different choices of how you want to lay it out based on, the range I'm bringing in.
okay, and then, sorry, Maria has one more question, she said, what about in Golden Valley area, do you need a license in that area? I think you guys answered that.
Isn't their
No.
address going to be Reno?
That's Reno, yeah,
It's
it's Reno.
So, yeah, fine. Not as many
But it's going to be
vacation rentals, it's not as close,
farther out.
Yeah,
but we can run the numbers.
Well, and you never know, because we always say we just want to be within a half hour of where we're having our convention. And so, anywhere, Sparks is within that distance. So, and that's what we've always done is that's kind of our limit. I don't want to have to get up early enough that I have to drive more than a half hour to get to the convention centers. So it's possible, but it's, you also get people.
So when you came from other states, what you did first to start your business?
Site stress.
Yeah, I
Oh.
know that. We all know that. But how did you
when I
become
got-
like a stepping stone?
well, he came here
I
to the
came
investor
here,
group.
obviously got license as an established. Started counting. Not one of, one of the first ones, but basically started counting payment. I went to visit the real estate offices.
Networking,
I went to investors meetings.
yeah,
I've had a lot of
Yeah.
meetings come from this meeting. I talked to people. and just kept working.
Yeah, how'd you meet Aaron? That's how I
B&I.
met you. You know, okay.
So, yeah, B&I is one way.
So
I didn't get very many leads from B&I, but I met vendors. B&I accepted the steps.
So you started working as a property manager, then started running a business, I'm just curious. Like,
Actually, I worked for a retail company out of Utah,
we didn't know anything about.
and
real estate.
the only real estate experience was I worked with my supervisor in acquisitions. I was mainly in charge of merchandising design, and I had 14 operations I was over. So the facility management side was where I came from. No experience in real estate, got my license, learned a lot from PMI, their training. Just went out and paid it.
So one of the things that that we offer, and we always have offered, and it's a PMI brand promise that we do, is that if we say, so we have a really good relationship with Ginger. And so Ginger has one of her clients. Ginger doesn't do property management, she does real estate sales. We do real estate sales, but you know, we also do property management. So Ginger has a client that wants to have property management. So she sends that client over to us. We manage their properties. And then a year later, they decide they're going to sell their home. Well, we are not going to do that sale with them, because we promised to Ginger, hey, if you work with us, then when it's time to sell, we're going to refer them back because that's your specialty. And this is your client, and we are not in it to steal your client. So that's our professional alliance guarantee. And I think that's why we're all here, because it's about networking. It's about working together. It's not about competition. It's about what can we do to help each other. And that's why Ginger said, hey, tell me your needs and your wants, because someone else may have something that you want, and not because we want to steal your business and we want you to fail and us to succeed. And so I think that's what it's all about. And like Robert said, it's networking. It's what can we do to work together in Reno Sparks to have a community at where it is. And if you have that mindset and that concept, then you can go. And that's why he did a lot of real brokerage visits and said, hey, do you do property management? Because if you don't, I'm here to help you. And this is what we have to offer. And, you know, you get a lot of cold calls, we get some mailers. He didn't like the cold calls, but he did it. And then he drove us because he had to pay the bills. And I worked.
I had to keep the stigma.
And I worked for a doctor's office, and I didn't start working for the company for 2 years, couple years full time, you know. You do what you have to, but it's about building those relationships and working together. Because if you're going to be greedy and things like that and not want to work with people, then they're not going to want to work with you.
And they give me a referral fee when I send them a client. It's
Yeah,
so
we
cool.
do.
That's kind of nice. No, it's all about relationships. It's not just the networking, it's building the relationships
Yeah.
and staying in touch with those people, I think.
When it comes to the property management, short terms, things that we do, we do this business. We're here to help you. You can also ask us questions if you want to do it yourself. You're more than welcome to ask us questions. We'll give you the honest truth. And when you're ready to have us take care of it and manage, we're here ready for it. So, any other questions? Any other tough questions I don't know? I'm sure there's a lot, because I don't know everything.
Well, you left your guys' cards in the back, right? And Carla's card is actually right there on the screen.
Just change the name, and everything else is the same.
The main office number,
Yeah.
you'll get.
Oh, is it? Oh,
That's the main number, because his goes to his cell and my phone doesn't go to my cell. So
oh, gotcha.
I am happy to talk to you. And if you want my cell phone number, I'll give you guys my cell phone number. I just don't give it to my owners. That's a fault of mine.
No,
We'll just admit it. And it's not that I don't work
She has
24/7 because
a
I
great
do.
point.
No, but you should. Yeah. No, we appreciate you guys coming. So if you guys have a question that comes up later or need to refer them a client or become a client,
Shoot us an email.
yeah, we appreciate. And then, Robert's always awesome. He always brings these or sends them to us in advance if he's not going to be here, and we print them out. We so appreciate that. It's nice to stay on top of the rental market, and we
It's
couldn't
an
do that without
interesting
us.
Some of the feelings I get is it's kind of lagging and slowing,
Yeah.
but in some areas it's not showing that. So it's just keep an eye on it.
Are you able to do that? Those forms for like the mini garden real person area too?
Yes,
That would be. Yep. Okay, thank you.
yeah, and then actually, I have some properties down in. Gardenburg.
Okay,
We just
that's good.
picked up 4.
Sometimes it's a little bit hard and we have to have Robert look at the numbers. I can't run it if we have to look at it because sometimes this system wants to pull it as a 2-bedroom and as a 1,000 square foot and it's not. And so, but otherwise, we could put it in there and it usually gives pretty good data for anything. We can pull it for Texas.
I'm pretty confident to say that if you look at that report, give or take 5%,
Okay,
90% of
As
the
long as you
time, it's
good
within
data.
that range.
okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys.